Which one of the following parts of a cactus plant has been modified to a thorn? Cactus plants are examples of plants that grows on dry areas. They grow on dry areas. These plants are commonly referred to as xerophytes. For these plants to survive on dry areas, they have to come with a mechanism that will enable them to reduce the rate at which now they lose water, or they reduce the rate of transpiration. Transpiration is the process through which now plant leaves lose excess water. So these plants, since they are grow in the desert where water is a limiting factor, then they have to come up with mechanisms like shading of their leaves, have long deep roots to draw water from underground. They have few stomatas. They have leaves that are reduced to spines. So in this case, that's where now we find our cactus. Cactus is one of the plants that has its leaves reduced to spines, so that now it reduces the amount of water it loses to the atmosphere through transpiration. So the part of the cactus plant that is modified to thorns, it is the leaf. The leaves are the one that are modified to thorns, so that now they reduce the rate of transpiration. The type of modified roots found in mangrove are called, when you look at mangrove plants grows in salty coastal areas. So these plants are in the group of hydrophytes. Hydrophytes are plants that grows in wet areas. For these plants survive in this area that has a lot of water, then they have to come up with some of the mechanisms that will enable them to survive there. Some of the mechanisms or some of the characteristics of hydrophytes include: 1, they have shallow roots. These plants, they grow in areas that has a lot of water, so they just need roots for support. Mangrove plants, being a good example of such a plants, they have what you call the buttress roots. These roots are very important when it comes to support of this plant as it grows in those muddy coastal areas. So it provides extra support so that now the plant is not carried away by water currents. Other characteristics will include broad leaves. They have many stomatas. They have succulent, they have flexible stems. PVC. So those are some of the other characteristics of these plants that grows in wet areas. These are the hydrophytes. So the mangrove plants, they usually have the buttress roots. These buttress roots, they are there to provide extra support so that the plant is not carried away by the water current. Which one of the following helps a cactus plant reduce loss of water? When you look at the cactus plant is an example of xerophyte. Xerophytes are plants that grows on dry areas. These plants, they usually have a problem of little water. So these plants, they usually come up with mechanisms or adaptations that will make them survive in those dry areas. Some of the adaptations will include mechanisms that will help in reducing the amount of water lost through transpiration. These mechanisms will include reduced size of leaves. You find now most of these plants, they usually have very small leaves. The smaller this leaf, the fewer the number of stomatas. Stomatas are small or through which now plant lose excess water. Plants like cactus are good examples of such a plant. When you look at cactus, it usually have thorn-like leaves. Or what you call the spines. The leaves has been reduced to spines to reduce the water loss, so that now the plant conserves the little amount of water that it has. It has other mechanisms or adaptation like deep, long roots. This one enable the plant to absorb water from under the ground. It has thick cuticles. This one enables it to reduce the number of stomatas in their leaves. We have other mechanisms like shading leaves during dry season, and these include other plants like the acacia plant and other vegetation that grows in dry area. It shades leaves during dry season, and this one ensures that the plant reduces the amount of water it loses to the atmosphere. So looking at the cactus plant, for it to reduce the amount of water loss or loss of water, then it has thorn-like leaves. The thorn-like leaves ensures that or assures that the plant loses very little amount of water. Which one of the following parts of passion plant is modified for climbing? When you look at the passion plant, is one of the plants that usually have weak stems. They have weak stems. Since these plants, they need to carry out photosynthesis, then they require support of other plants. Seeds now, when they are underground there, they cannot carry out photosynthesis, reason being that there is no sunlight. For any plant to carry out photosynthesis, there must be things like the sunlight, there must be the chlorophyll, then there must be water, and then carbon dioxide. So these plants now, they require the support of other plants so that now they can get the sunlight. So they need to climb. They need to have some of their part modified so that now they are adapted for climbing. So when you look at the passion plant, it just usually look like that at the red. And then here we have another very strong tree. So it has the leaves there, but then we have this part. Which attaches itself or the plant to this plant. These things are called tentries. So the stem is the one that is adapted for climbing. Since it is weak, it coils or it produces these tentries, and the tentries helps it to attach itself in that other trees for support, and then hence it is able to climb up and get sunlight up the stem. The leaf of a cactus plant. When you look at the cactus plant, the cactus is an example of a plant that grows in dry areas. These plants that grows in dry areas, they are called xerophytes. They grow in areas that have little or no water, actually in the arid and semi-arid areas. For these plants to survive in such areas, they need to come up with mechanisms or adaptation that will make them survive in such a habitat. These plants, since they have a problem of the amount of water, they have the mechanisms that they have usually enables them to utilize the little amount of water that is available and reduce the amount of water that is lost to the environment. For them, they have the following adaptations or mechanisms. One, we have sizes of the leaves. They have small size of leaves. When you look at plants like cactus, their leaves are small in such a way they are reduced into spines. This one enables them to reduce the amount of water they lose through transpiration. Transpiration is the process through which now plant loses excess water. So their leaves are reduced to spines so that now they reduce the rate of transpiration. Others, you find out they usually have very few stomata. The stomata, they are small holes that are found in the leaves, and this one enables the plant to reduce the amount of water loss. So the fewer the number of stomata, the less the water is lost. Other adaptations of plants like cactus includes they have succulent stems, and these succulent stems enables them to store water, so that now they can utilize the water during the dry period, e.g. plants like sisal, you can have aloe vera, euphorbia. Those are just examples. So looking at our question, the leaf of a cactus plant reduces the amount of water loss. Actually, we have said now they are small sizes of leaves that are reduced to spines, and this one reduces the rate of transpiration. We have said now the rate of transpiration is the process through which now plant lose excess water. Which one of the following is an adaptation of plants in wet areas? Plants that grows in wet areas are called hydrophytes. They include plants like the mangrove, plants. We have plants like water lettuce, Venus flytrap. All those are examples of some of the plants that grows in wet areas. These plants, they have a lot of water. Their main problem is how they are going to lose that excess water, and how they are going to obtain oxygen that is dissolved in water. For them to survive, then they have to come up with the following adaptations. Which are some of these adaptations? One, they usually have shallow roots. The reason why they have shallow roots is just to provide support. They just to provide support. They don't need to have deep roots, since they are in areas where they can draw water from the soil easily. Others that they usually have broad leaves. These broad leaves ensures that the plant has many stomata. The many stomata enable the plant to lose water or more water through transpiration. In other words, they increase the rate of transpiration. Increase the rate of transpiration. Also, these plants, you'll find out they usually have what you call flexible stems. These flexible stems enables the plant to withstand water currents. Other adaptations include floating flowers to ensure pollination. Also, they have floating leaves. They have thin cuticle, etc. All those are other adaptations. So our question was, which one is an adaptation of plants found in dry areas? The adaptation that of these plants that are found in dry areas among the ones that we have been given is that they have broad leaves. According to our explanation, is that they have broad leaves, and this one ensures that they have many stomata that increase the rate of transpiration. Transpiration, we have said now, it's a process through which now plant lose excess water. The reason why some plants have thick wax cuticle is thick wax cuticle is an adaptation of plants that grows on dry areas. Such a plants, they are called xerophytes. They include plants like cactus, acacia. We have things like the sisal, euphorbia. All those are further out in that group. For these plants survive in dry areas, they come up with mechanisms or adaptations to reduce the amount of water loss to the atmosphere through transpiration. Such mechanisms will include thick, waxy cuticle. This one ensures that the leaves of the plant are not exposed to the sunlight. Also, it ensures that the leaves, the stems, they usually have few stomata that enable the loss of water. Others plant, they usually have deep roots to draw or to absorb water from the underground. Others, they usually have what you call succulent stems to store water that they can use during dry period. Other plants like the sisal, also the cactus, you find out they have green stems. The green stems enables them to carry out photosynthesis. So those are some of the characteristics or adaptation of plants that grows in dry areas or the xerophyte. Back to our question is, why do these plants have thick wax cuticles? The reason why they have thick wax cuticle here is to reduce the rate of transpiration. Transpiration is the process through which plants lose excess water. So looking at our choices there, the correct answer there is to reduce water loss through transpiration. The following are some adaptations of plants that grows in wet environment except having. When you look at these plants that grows in wet environment, they are called hydrophytes. These plants, they grow in areas that has a lot of water. For them to survive there, they need to come up with mechanisms or adaptation that will ensure that they lose more water to the environment, since they have more than they need. They have the following mechanisms or adaptation. One, they usually have broad leaves. The broad leaves ensures that the surface has many stomata, and these stomata enables it to lose a lot of water. They usually have waxy upper part of the leaf, This one prevents water from standing on the surface of the leaf. Also, they have more stomatas, and this one ensures that the plant loses a lot of water. Also, they have flexible stems. This one enables the plant to withstand the water current. Looking at our question, the plant that grows in wet environment have the following adaptation, except having. The answer there is they have thick leaf cuticle. That is an adaptation for xerophytes. Xerophytes are plants that grows in dry areas, so they have thick cuticles on their leaves to reduce the number of stomatas. The following are some characteristics of plants: thin cuticle, silvery hairs, flexible stems, more stomata on the lower leaf surface, air sacs. Which pair of characteristics is for plants adapted in wet areas? Plants in wet areas are called hydrophytes. These plants grow in areas that has a lot of water. For them to survive in such a habitat, then they need to have the following mechanisms, or what we refer to as adaptations. These plants, they usually have thin cuticle. This one enables the plant to have more number of stomatas that will enable the plant to lose more water that it does not require. Also, it has flexible stems. This one will enable the plant to withstand water current, since some of the plants are found in the rivers, lakes, and the ocean. So flexible stems enables them to bend after the water, when the water currents are there, and raise after they have gone. Also, they usually have the air sacs. The air sacs enables them, or the leaves, to float on the surface, so that now they can trap sunlight, so that now they can carry out photosynthesis. Also, air sacs enables the flowers to float, so that now pollination can take place. With that explanation, then we can easily answer the one that has the characteristics, or pair that has characteristics of plants in wet areas. So the pair should consist of Roman 1, Roman 3, and 5. Looking at our answers there, we have 2 and 4, 1 and 5, 3 and 4, 1 and 2. So the correct one is 1 and 5. That is thin cuticles and air sacs. The following are some characteristics of plants: thin cuticle, silvery air, flexible stems, more stomatas on the lower leaf surface, air sacs. Which pair of characteristics is for plants adapted in wet areas? These plants that are adapted in wet areas are called hydrophytes. The plants, they grow in areas that has a lot of water. So their main problem is how they are going to get rid of that excess water that they do not need. So for them, they come up with mechanisms or adaptations that will make them survive in that habitat. These adaptations include thin cuticle. This one ensures that there is more stomata. That one will enable the plant to lose more water. It has also flexible stems to withstand water current, since they can grow in rivers, ocean, or in lakes which has currents, and this one may uproot them. Also, they have air sacs. Air sacs enables the leaves to float in the water, so that now they can carry out photosynthesis, and also in case of the flowers, they are on the surface where they can carry out pollination. Other adaptation will include broad leaves, more stomatas or many stomatas, that will enable them lose more water. Looking at our question, the one that adaptations or characteristics of plants that grow in wet areas will include 1, 3, and 5. All those are characteristics of plants that grow in wet areas. Looking at our answer, we have 1 and 5. 1 and 5, 2. So we pick B. That will include that is thin cuticle and air sacs. The following features were observed on some plants: deep roots, broad leaves, numerous stomatas, thorns. Which two features are for plants found in dry areas? Plants that are found in dry areas are called xerophytes. They grow in areas that has little water. In desert and semi-desert, arid and semi-arid areas. These plants, since they have problem of water, then they come up mechanisms or what you refer to as adaptations that enables them to survive in such a habitat. Some of these adaptations will include deep roots. Deep roots will enable the plant to absorb water from underground, so that now it can use it to survive in that area. The other one, it has leaves which are small, and actually some of them are reduced into spines. These small leaves usually enables the plant to reduce the amount of water they lose to the environment. Others that they usually have what you call the succulent stems. The succulent stems, this one enable them to store water, so that now they can use the water during the dry period. Others, they usually have thick buds or cuticles in their leaves, and this one ensures that it reduces the number of stomatas. The other one is that they have few stomatas to reduce the rate of transpiration. So according to our question, the two features that are found in plants that are found in dry areas, they include 1 and 4. That is 1 and Roman 4. That is deep roots and thorns. So our answer there is 1 and 4, which is D.